The Eldar are fantasy space elves from the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. Highly advanced, psychically gifted, that mastered life, death, and everything in the universe, till they ruined it, like everyone else has. With them being known for being extremely blindingly fast and dexterous glass cannons, the Eldar are fractured into many different sub-factions, and I don't find them that cool. That's mainly got to be for the fact that I don't like elves in general. I'm kind of an elf hater. I like orcs and dwarves and space marines and the leagues of Votan and having fun. And so this video is sort of my research into the Eldar and seeing if they are much more than I think they might be. The Eldar, or the Eldari, were made for this big ancient war called the War in Heaven that happened 60 million years ago. They were made by an ancient race of hyper-advanced space frogs called the Old Ones that could basically play God by making most any creature, which could include helping a race of humanoids called the Necron with a condition which is analogous to super hyper cancer. Combined with the fact that the Necron tier needed to fight an external alien threat together to become more unified, compared to the volatile, dangerous government and wars they waged on each other, the War in Heaven started. The first Eldar are beings that the Eldar worship as deities from their pantheon of gods. Since then, the stories about what happened during the War in Heaven have become more and more warped through generations and years of nobody actually knowing what happened there, with recorded history usually being destroyed. What can be said is that eventually the Eldar gods made children, until eventually the normal Eldar became a galaxy-spanning empire once the War in Heaven concluded, and the Necron tier, now metallic Necrons, all went to sleep. They pushed all threats of other alien races to the borders of the galaxy, with the Eldar becoming the masters of the universe at that time, with over 10,000 star systems with worlds colonized all over them. This age was called the Golden Age, which is different from the Golden Age of humanity, but I digress. So, why not party? Why not do anything and everything with worlds made exclusively for pleasure? The Eldar would use the webway, which is basically a pocket dimension between the materium, which is the dimension we know, the material plane, and the warp, the dimension of souls, emotions, and demons. The webway was originally made by the Old Ones to allow themselves to span the galaxy and travel through the materium through the webway and its portals. Basically making a nether portal highway in Minecraft, but on the nether roof instead of the nether itself, so it's much more safe. Other species do have forms of faster-than-light travel, such as traveling through the warp, but the Old Ones mastered it without having to use the warp at all. There would be cities constructed on the webway portals, in the webway themselves, to the material plane. There was so much wealth and indulgence in the weirdest, most freaky ways possible, and it happened for a long time. This also happened because the Eldar could be reborn, because the warp didn't want to eat their souls yet, and their souls could just find new bodies eventually. That was until the fall of the Eldari Empire. You see, the demons in Warhammer 40k embody the emotions that come from every living being. The reason most demons are mainly because the War in Heaven, because of all the war and bloodshed that happened at that point. At this point, there were 3 chaos gods. The god of bloodshed, Khorne, the god of life, death, and rebirth, Nurgle, and the god of fate, Tzeentch. The Eldar were so depraved in such a mass scale that they burst Slaanesh, the chaos god of desire and excess, and it was born in the heart of their empire, creating the Eye of Terror, a gateway from the warp into the materium, demolishing vast swaths of the Eldari Empire, destroying most civilizations on those planets, with claws tearing through all the souls of the Eldar in the galaxy. The only ones spared Slaanesh's wrath were those inside of craft worlds. Eldar craft worlds are giant-sized spacecraft that were turned into self-sufficient planets of sorts, powered by psychic energy of its previous tenants that passed away, with everything being managed with psychic devices on board. The entirety of it is built like a living organism, with veins, streets, looking almost bone-like. That's because it was made out of wraithbone. Wraithbone is a crystallized psychic energy that responds to psychic abilities that every Eldar has. Wraithbone can be used to do anything, really, from making spaceship, pieces of art, or giant mechs. It can even be used by the souls of those who have passed on by using Spirit Stones. Spirit Stones are quite important for Eldari, since usually, if any Eldar passes away, they are guaranteed to have their souls eaten by Slaanesh. Even using any psychic ability for the Eldar can cause Slaaneshi corruption. Spirit Stones can hold the souls of the Eldar, where it can be implanted into a Wraithbone hole in either armor or a craft world, in an infinity circuit. or technically a mass grave, so they can live forever, or until the craft world blows up, or their Wraithbone armor blows up. Since the fall of the Eldari Empire and the birth of Slaanesh, the Eldar haven't been able to be masters of the universe since. For example, humanity has come as a contender with Space Marines, the Necrons have come back, these railgun-making Tau are here too, and the Orcs are out of control. The Eldar see this as them blowing their chance to rule the universe. That being said, they see every alien as beneath them, with them calling humans highly evolved apes. That being said, they have yet to bolster the strength that they once had, with them falling into different warring subfactions. The biggest and most vanilla of these factions is the Craftworld Eldar. These are basic space elves that are trying to rebuild their empire and live on craft worlds, all based around using their minds toward achieving goals to help all instead of repeating the sins of the past. The Drakari are like the Eldar if they learned nothing, being the dark elves of the universe. They, for the most part, live in the Webway, the biggest city of that being Kamara. These guys are degenerates and love torturing. They're also low-key space pirates that show up and raid cities and kidnap people for their devious hobbies. And this is also, they can save themselves from Slaanesh as payment to the Dark God to not be punished. Harlequins are a bunch of battlefield performers that see war as art. They too live in the Webway, that are loyal to the Eldar deity of laughing, who is the only unscathed Eldar god from Slaanesh's birth, who is a trickster but hates chaos, who is a trickster and hates chaos. The Harlequins are basically out to destroy chaos by any means necessary, which has sometimes helped other races and sometimes doomed them. They also don't have to worry about their souls being eaten. They also don't have to worry about their souls being eaten by Slaanesh because their god helps their souls. They also don't have to worry about their souls being eaten by Slaanesh because they have a god to keep their souls safe. The Exodites are Eldar that isolated themselves away from the Eldar since before the birth of Slaanesh. They live like almost caveman with dinosaurs. They do know how to farm, they do cultivate crops, and ride dinosaurs. And they ride said dinosaurs into battle. Some live like nomads, some live to protect ancient temples, but they still do use spirit stones to combine with shrines to create something similar to a consciousness found within craft worlds like an infinity circuit in the worlds they inhabit by implanting their spirit stones into shrines. The Ynnari are a collective of Eldari that are also trying to fight against Chaos and Slaanesh. They believe that the more Eldari souls put into spirit stones connected to each other might create a singular powerful godlike consciousness called Ynit, the Whispering God, which was actually made by sacrificing a whole Craftworld spirit stone supply. So they're basically a death cult, and they believe all Eldar need to die to destroy Slaanesh so they can all be reborn again. The Eldar are characterized by being the dexterous hit-and-run ambushers that are known for trying to get air superiority very fast, basically blitzing. They are known to be the close-range glass cannons that can move extremely fast and slice through even the likes of Space Marines with relative ease, but if caught off guard, they get sliced through with the same amount of ease, needing fast, succinct strikes in battle to survive. On tabletop, they play pretty much the same way, with them being fast and hard-hitting, but pretty brittle if you can get your hands on them. They are a fairly high point cost army, being somewhat elite units like Space Marines, so they don't have hordes like Orcs, Tyranids, or even the Imperial Guard, being the fast elite army with a few models. One of the most notable Eldar is Yvraine. Yvraine is a Craftworld Eldar that later became a gladiator in Kamara that helped stop a demonic invasion to her own world, with her later becoming the avatar of Ynid, destroying a Craftworld spirit or infinity circuit, birthing the Eldar god of death and rebirth, Yncarne. Since then, she has helped resurrect Rutubute Gilliman and become the leader of the Ynnari, following Yncarne's instructions. So that's the Eldar. I want to know what you guys think about the Eldar and make them interesting for you, because maybe I'm just yucking someone else's yum and I don't get it, but I don't quite understand the elves, or Eldar for that matter, or their draw. Is there any other factions you'd like me to cover? Make sure to tell me in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. That's all I got for now. Till next video, fellas.